What's up, everybody? Welcome to the How to Lead podcast, a conversation designed to help you develop yourself and those around you. My name's Adam, joined by Clay. Clay, we travel. We've talked about that before. The worst part of travel is delays. I had a delay last week.
How long was it?
Like 70 minutes. Not bad.
Oh, okay.
But it was the last flight of the day, so that, like, for some reason, it put me home at midnight, which midnight versus 11 just feels like it felt so much worse.
Well, it's actually the next day, you know?
It really is. It's literally, it just felt like a whole nother day because it was.
Right.
But yeah, so you had a big one recently, but it led to something cool. So talk about that.
Yeah. I had one of those. I was at LaGuardia trying to get back to Atlanta, and there's flights every hour, which, I mean, that's usually pretty easy to get from LaGuardia to Atlanta. But this night, they were, those massive summer storms in Atlanta that I think it happened at about 5. And my wife started texting me. She was like, oh, my goodness, it has gotten totally dark, lightning, thunder, and I was like, oh no. So, yeah, sure enough, I'm in the, I'm not trying to flex by saying I was in the Delta Sky Club, but I was. It's not very hard. You just have to apply for a credit card. That's all you have to do. So it's not really a flex. But I was in the line. I was about to order a Michelob Ultra when I got a tap on my shoulder, and I turn around, and it's Brennan Webb, who is the golf coach at the University of Tennessee. He used to be an assistant golf coach at Georgia Tech, and his family went to North Point, where I was one of the pastors there for a while. And it was so fun to see him. And I was like, where are y'all sitting? I was holed up. I mean, I was sitting in the corner. I had headphones in. I was in the middle of Mobland, which, have you seen Mobland?
No.
I mean, it is a guilty pleasure. It is such a great series. But anyway, and I was like, where are y'all sitting? He was sitting on the very other side. I was like, I'll come over there and sit with y'all. I want to see your wife and say hello to your kids. And anyway, as I'm going over there, I sit down in a circle with him, and I heard this. I heard a ruckus. It was a social ruckus coming from about 2 little sections over. And I look over there, and there was this 72-year-old man sitting around about 6 25-year-olds, and they were having just the most jovial time. And I started looking closer, realizing, it's Frank Blake, which Frank Blake also went to our church for a while. Frank was the current. He was the former CEO of the Home Depot. The stock, while he was the CEO of Home Depot, did incredibly well. Hundreds of thousands of employees. But the respect for him at Home Depot is really remarkable because of how he turned their company around, took them through the building recession in 2008, 2009, caused by the mortgage crisis. But he's known for humility, people-first leadership. He really is the kind of leader that we all want to work for, and he's the kind of leader we want to become. And I thought, hey, can we do a whole episode on this? Because what I learned from him that night, I've learned so much from him, but what I learned from him that night, I have thought about for the last couple of weeks multiple times.
Well, I love it. It's what a great way to make some lemonade, right? When life throws you lemons,
exactly.
you were able to. So did you go hang out with the golf friend, or did you just say, forget you, I'm going to go hang out with Frank Blake?
Yeah, I felt very distracted because I kept looking over there going, I was trying to figure out if it was Frank or not. And I said to them something like, I was like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm distracted. That's a guy that I know just a little bit because he was at our church, Frank Blake. And Brennan's wife was like, oh my gosh, I was wondering if that's him. I am a huge fan of his. And I was like, well, let's go over there. So I was able to introduce her to Frank. But what was so amazing was he was not holding court. Sometimes entertaining CEOs who have this big personality, they might be sitting over there. Well, for one, I was amazed that he was sitting around people because I wanted to be in the midst of Mobland, and he was out with the people. But he was not holding court, like telling story after story. He was asking questions. He had gotten to know these people. He knew all their names. He knew what they did. It was as if he was learning as much from them as they were learning from him. And I almost had to go, do you all know who this is? I mean, this is a remarkable leader, and we all should be sitting at his feet taking notes, right? But instead, he really was. He was learning. It was it was very cool to see that he's had the success that he's had, but he's still as humble as he is.
And I love it. So you sent me some notes going, hey, here's 3 things I learned that night. And that's the first one, right? Is to stay curious even when you're at the top. listen, I shared this with a group last week because I'm starting to notice a pattern among younger leaders, and they are telling me that their older leader boss will never listen to them. Like they just don't listen. Now, I'm not there. The first to plead their case seems right till another comes and examines it.
Sure.
But as a man who is aging himself, I can put myself in the older leader's shoes and go, I don't know about you, but I know for me, the older I get, the larger the temptation there is to just kind of check out and cruise and just think I know everything. I'm the teacher. You bring me in to teach, not to learn. You know, like that part is there sometimes in me. So when you tell me that a guy who's 72 years old and has accomplished way more than you and I have, or I'll speak for myself, way more than me, is sitting around being curious, it stops me down a little bit. It's convicting. Was it convicting to you?
Oh, definitely, because that was not exactly where I wanted to be. He wasn't talking at people. He was asking questions. He was learning. We've seen it so often, right, that senior leaders, I think what I've discovered over the last couple of weeks of thinking about this, we often stop listening because we think we've earned the right not to have to listen, right?
Yeah.
You're like, hey, do you know who I am? I've done some things. I've written some stuff. I've accomplished some things. And so it's just very easy to feel like we've earned the right to not have to listen. But the best leaders, or go ahead. You want to stop
Well,
there?
it's dumb. We all have Ron Burgundy in us, right?
Yeah,
we all have.
That's right.
We all have leather-bound books and furniture
Smells
made
of
with rich mahogany.
That's right. That's right.
So, that's good.
I would say this, though. The best leaders are not only willing to, but they are actively listening to those far from power. I think if we can practice that behavior and recognize that, all right, do I want to be a great leader or do I just want to be a good person? Because the best leaders are the ones that are listening to those far from power. Why? Well, you have nothing to gain from them. I was thinking about that night. I was like, he has nothing to gain from these people. These people have a lot to gain from him. I mean, he recommends them for a job, tells a CEO friend of his they ought to hire. I mean, by the way, Adam, he just recently rolled off the Delta board as chairman of their board. And he was sitting in the Delta Sky Club.
Sitting in their Sky Lounge.
Exactly. Just chatting it up with these 25-year-olds. It was really remarkable.
Chex Mix out of a wooden bowl.
Exactly. The moment you stop being curious is the moment you stop growing. I think that was the big thing that I learned that night about that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's good. Let's keep going because there's still some more doozies that you learned. Lead with presence, not position. So say more about that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's another private subset of lounges at an airport. Is there like a lounge within the lounge? I don't know.
I don't know. The crew, like the crew seems to pop up like out of the walls. They were somewhere, and then the flight crew. So I've got to believe there's like, you remember the teachers' lounge in elementary school that was filled with smoke? Yeah, I've got to believe there's some of those around somewhere at an airport. But
well, I mean, you and I don't get this often because I'm not speaking at big enough places to have like the most luxurious green rooms. But every now and then I'm like, whoa, this is a pretty nice green room. They're like, oh, this is all for you, or this is for the people speaking, and it's just really easy to disappear into the private lounge in the corner. And I think this idea of practicing presence, not position, was really remarkable, that he had made himself available. He was just out there with not the commoners, because this wasn't the Sky Club, but he was.
These were elite credit card members.
That's right. But here's the thing, Adam. Here's what was amazing. I posted a picture, a selfie I took with me and Frank and the couple of people that he was sitting with, and then the comments on LinkedIn.
Read some. You sent them to me.
Anyone.
They were crazy.
I dare you to go read some of these. Yeah, I called a couple out, but someone wrote. Frank just sat in the cafeteria and chatted with us regular associates on a regular basis. That was just something he did. Someone wrote this. I love this story. He said, I'll never forget. I was an associate at a store and he was there to do a store walk. I had no idea who he was. He had an apron on though. And I needed to drop a pallet down on an aisle. And I said, hey dude, can I get a spot? The next thing you know, my assistant store manager is running to me going, I'll spot you. Leave that guy alone. He's the CEO, which is just amazing. That he was like, hey, man, can you give me a spot? And the thing is, Frank would have done it. It was one of the simpler comments, but this is one of my favorite. He said, Scott Corey said, he's truly a great leader. I recall he showed up at my store on his birthday to give a random associate a gift card. That's presence over position,
legendary.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is remarkable, right? That it was his birthday.
Yeah.
He just sat and regularly chatted with us associates. Practicing presence over performance. You don't have to command a room to change a room is one of the things I learned that night.
That's good.
I want us to think about, what does a humble presence look like for you? What are those moments? And can you schedule them, right? Can you schedule I'm just going to walk around. I'm going to put an hour on my calendar and I'm just going to walk around. I'm going to drop by. I'm going to eat with others. People can question whether or not you care, but they cannot question whether or not you showed up.
Yep.
Because that is binary. You either did or you didn't. And so I would just encourage you, let's be like Frank. Let's take a page out of the Frank Blake playbook and let's just go sit and eat with the commoners.
But don't call them commoners.
Exactly. I guarantee you he doesn't.
What do you commoners talk about? Let's talk about common things. So,
exactly.
No, I love that. You don't have to command a room to change a room. The humble presence. So listen, I feel like if somebody went back and listened to all of our episodes, they'd hear us, we've got 5 or 6 things we say regularly. I feel like I say this one regularly, which is be a, hey, there you are person.
Yeah.
Not a, hey, here I am person.
That's it. That's great.
And that is, listen, as simple as that sounds, just if you walk into rooms going, I'm not going to wait for people to pursue me and ask me questions. I'm going to pursue them. And then I'm going to ask a follow-up question. And then I'm going to ask them another question. I think Carnegie had it right all those years ago. People will walk away going, you're amazing. They will post randomly on LinkedIn memories that they have from 17 years ago of when you treated them like a person. And so I love that. Okay. So you got to stay curious. You got to lead with presence. Golly, that is so rich. That deserves its whole episode of the presence. But anyway, let's move on because we need to keep going. Build a legacy that lasts. That was another thing you walked away from that stormy night from the seedy Delta Lounge, remembering. But say more about that.
LaGuardia Delta Lounge is not seedy. It is tremendous. So if any Delta employees are listening to this, you guys have done a remarkable job with that. But I will say this, the comment section on that LinkedIn post, it just proves it, that leadership that impacts others deeply sticks around. The fact that, to your point, what you said just a second ago, that people were recalling stories that happened 17 years ago, it was very inspiring. It was really remarkable that he has built, and there are no perfect people. I'm sure there's somebody out there that's going, oh, I'll tell you a bad story. Okay, well, over and over and over and over again, they were just remarkable story after remarkable story. What makes a leader remarkable, we all know this, it's not how they made people do the work they wanted them to do. No, what makes a leader remarkable is how they made people feel. They made them feel seen, respected. They made them feel human. Legacy isn't built in those big decisions. It's built in the daily ones, the quiet ones. I mean, nowhere in here did people talk about how when he became the CEO of Home Depot, he said, hey, we're not going to build any more brick and mortar stores right now because our biggest competitor is not Lowe's. Our biggest competitor is Amazon. And we're going to shift our focus and our resources to HomeDepot.com. No one mentioned that strategic decision that he made while he was CEO. No, they talked about when he showed up on his birthday to hand out a gift card to an associate. Can I tell one more story out of these comments?
Yeah, go for it.
This is my favorite one. Nick Webb said, 17 years ago when I was 18, I started as a lot associate at the Loganville Home Depot in Georgia. A gentleman approached me as I was cleaning up the lot and introduced himself along with a handshake. Mr. Blake explained why he was there and then presented me with an executive Homer badge. I guess that's something they would give away to
that's
people
awesome.
at Home Depot. I know, right. We wrapped up our conversation. I went inside immediately to talk to my ASMs, the associate store managers, Denise and Vashti. I began to explain to them what happened, and when the name Frank Blake came out of my mouth, and also that he's here at the store, you can imagine and then he put the firework emojis. He said they responded and said, the CEO, this is my favorite. Listen to his response. He said, my response was, "What is a CEO?" He said, "What is a CEO?" He said, "I learned quickly in that moment what a CEO is." He said, "Mr. Blank, for Mr. Blake to be the CEO of a company like the Home Depot and to be so humble and thankful to take time to personally say 2 words, thank you, when there were so many that he could have sent to the store to do it for him, speaks volumes about him. Mr. Blake did it one-on-one in a parking lot where it all starts when we pull in for our day and pull away at the end of the shift. He set the tone in many ways of how you do many things the right way, especially how you put people first. That is a legacy that lasts."
I mean, there's so many things that run through my mind there, Clay. It's like, this is like, Frank, in many ways, he was just a leader of an organization, right?
That's right. That's right.
And Home Depot's doing a lot of good, but they're not creating life-saving drugs. They're not sending people to Mars. They're a home improvement store. But the impact you can have as a leader on people's lives is as if you were a doctor, a teacher, a nurse.
That is a great point.
As a leader, you may be sitting there going, well, I'm not the CEO of this company. And I'm like, I don't care if you have some title and there is some sort of a hierarchy. You give people your attention, it matters. It just does. And it goes so far. And so that's what I'm taking. I mean, I wasn't even a part of this, right? I was probably sitting at home in Dallas, Texas, while you were sitting in that lounge having fun with your friends and learning all this stuff. But that's what I'm taking away from it. I think that's a great reminder.
Well, I would just encourage all of us. I'm trying to do the same thing, but just pick one. Pick curiosity, presence, or legacy. And then just find a way. Find a way to show up like Frank was showing up just that night, or the way he showed up 17 years ago. Be curious when it's inconvenient. Be present when it's easier to just withdraw. And do the small things that make a lasting impact. I believe deeply he was not trying to be remarkable that night. He just kept showing up in unremarkable ways, and that is what made him, and that's what makes him unforgettable.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I bet he would just sit there and just go, "That was just what I do. That was just me being Frank on a normal Thursday or whatever it was." So it wasn't done for show, which makes it matter even more. So
that's right.
Hey, that's a phenomenal story. I hope you have a few more rain delays. Get us some stories. Get us some content, man.
Do not wish that upon me, Adam.
I do not wish that upon you at all. So I'm glad you made the most of that one. That's awesome. Great to be with you, man. Talk next time.
See you.
Well, that's all we got for today's episode of the How to Lead podcast. You can always reach out to us via email. We can be reached at info@howtolead.work. That's info@howtolead.work. Every episode is mixed and edited by the team over at Sound of a Rose. You can learn more about them at soundofarose.com. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you again next time.